What is up, my homies? Thank you for tuning in to the Empowered Podcast. This is episode 97. I'm your host, Ellory Wells, and I've got a special episode for you today because it is the second episode that I have done for this show with my wife, Ashley. The first show, episode number 49, I highly recommend that you check that out because it tells my story. It talks about when I got fired from my job, what it was like, what that did to our family, and the emotional impact of that. Well, that's the number 2 most downloaded episode of the show by far. It is one of the ones that has connected with listeners, readers of the blog, all of that stuff more than 94 other episodes. So we did not plan on doing this as an Empowered Podcast episode. We were sitting out on the back porch, and just through the conversation, Ashley says this would make a really good podcast episode. And I thought, you know what? You're right. And that's what we did. We ended up taking the audio from what we were recording and turning it into this episode. And it is a really uncut, kind of behind the scenes look at our marriage, our relationship, and really the honest truth about what it takes to build a business of your own. And that's what I want you to get away from this episode, is that it takes a lot of work. And we go into some of the details, some of those things. There was no script, there was no rehearsal, there was no plan, and I hope that you really understand it's a very candid look. And because of that, I do have to warn you that there is an explicit part of this. There's just a few curse words in there, but hopefully that's all right with you, or you can maybe it'd probably be okay with kids, but maybe not. So you've been warned. But before we go into the episode, I want to share 3 pieces of technology that I've discovered in just really the last week and started using that I want to share with you that might make your life easier. And we don't normally talk about technology and gadgets and stuff on the show, but in the last few weeks, I've decided to do a personal video to everybody who subscribes to the email list. So if you go to empoweredpodcast.com, on the side you'll see links to subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, RSS. But down at the bottom of the page, there is a way that you can subscribe to the blog and get updates. And if you do that, you will get a personal video from me. And by doing these videos, not only is it a cool way to connect with people, but by doing them, I've had to learn how to do new things with technology. So if you're one of those millions, maybe, I don't know, billions is probably an exaggeration, but if you're one of those millions of people who have upgraded to the Galaxy S6 like I have, and I don't know exactly how you could do it on the iPhone either, but they no longer allow you to plug your phone into your computer to get files off, images, videos, those kinds of things. And I needed a way to get those HD. I was recording some videos in 4K. Need to get those onto my computer. So the first bit of technology is this little thing that I've got in my hand right now. I know you can't see it, but it's made by SanDisk. And I've bought SanDisk products in the past. I think most of my SD cards and micro SD cards are SanDisk. I don't really have a preference, but this is what they had at Best Buy. And I'll put a link if you want to support the show with a purchase and you want to grab it from Amazon. You can go to empoweredpodcast.com/97. But on one side of this little thing, it is honestly the size of... It is about half the size of a stick of chapstick. On one side, it's got a USB 3.0 port. On the other side, you just flip this little switch right here. And on the other side, it's got the micro USB that will go into the bottom of your cell phone, into your Galaxy S6. And honestly, most Android phones, I guess, probably have this. But this one's 32 gigs. This is a 32 gig thing in something that's smaller than half the size of a stick of chapstick. And I can move videos from my phone, all these videos that I'm recording for these guests or these new subscribers. I want to be able to record them and do something with them. I want to be able to upload them to YouTube and send them a link. So I record the video on my phone. I plug this into the bottom of my phone. I move the files over, then flip the switch, and then out comes the USB 3.0 and plug that directly into my computer, and I can drag and drop that into Camtasia. So that's something that I would highly recommend anybody. Whoop, I just dropped it. I would highly recommend anybody that has a Galaxy phone, check one of those out. 32 gigs, I think it was like $12 for that thing. I had a $5 Best Buy gift card, and I ended up paying. It was on sale for $10. I had a $5 gift card. I ended up paying $5 for it, and it's some of the best $5 that I've spent. Also, if you listen to the episode about Periscope, or you're looking to incorporate more video, more vlogs, any of those kinds of things into your business and your brand, I would highly recommend that you check out this lavalier mic. And lavalier is the fancy, I don't know, sounds French, the fancy term for lapel mics. So it's a wired mic. It goes directly into the bottom of your phone, and instead of having echoey audio or a lot of wind or something like that when you're shooting these videos, this Movo LV1 is the model. It was like $22 on Amazon when I bought it, and I almost got rid of it because it's not XLR, it's not wireless, but it plugs directly into your cell phone, and these newer cell phones automatically detect that, no extra service needed or anything like that. But you plug it into your cell phone and you get a jump, a definite boost in your audio. It works with Periscope. It works with the selfie cams and all this stuff. So if you're wanting to do video, check that out. And then the last thing that I found, and I almost didn't buy it, but you know what? I bit the bullet and it wasn't all that expensive. For $5, I got this app called PowerEditor by Cyberlink. Now, if you remember Cyberlink back from the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, they made software that would allow your computer to play DVDs and then Blu-rays. And then since we all went digital, instead of going out of business, which is smart, they pivoted. And now they make software for phones, among other things. I don't know a whole lot about the company, but I just remember them. But PowerEditor, no space between that, PowerEditor by Cyberlink. I can record a video on my phone, import it into PowerEditor, add text overlay. I can mix music or fade it in and out. It's not terribly technical, but mix music, add images, graphics, add a second video like for my exit video. So if you see my videos on Facebook with ElloryWells.com in white letters, and it's all done with this PowerEditor. And you can use it for free. You can't do what they call full HD. I don't know if that's 60 frames per second or 1080p versus 720 or something. But you can do HD, and then they have their watermark on the video on the free version. But if you want to do a couple other features, it's just $5. There's no skin in the game for me to recommend that. It's just a cool tool that I found, which will allow me to produce videos with text overlay, intro, outro clips, and edit. You can cut video from the middle of your video, and if you mess up or something, and then drag the second part to where it meets with this other one. It's really cool. You can do it all from your cell phone, and I wanted to share that with you as we go mobile, as we add more video to our business, those kinds of things. Hopefully that's encouraging. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out as well. So let's go into this episode where I talk with my wife, Ashley, about the truth about what it really takes to start your own business.
Happy afternoon, listeners.
Yeah, it's not podcasters. Not this time.
I didn't say it when there wasn't record button.
But you still went for it, though. That was funny. So we just got back from like an hour-long walk in about 200. Holy crap. that was a golf ball hitting every branch in the tree. Anyway.
Not our tree. Well, our tree, but it's just on the other side of the fence.
Yeah. So we just got back from an hour-long walk.
We always end up going in the hottest part of the day.
Well, it's when
it's convenient.
I guess we don't have a really good reason as to why we do that.
No, well, because I had to go to work this morning, and you were working, and if we wait too long, then we've both taken showers, and who wants to do that after you've already showered and gotten clean for the day? So that's just when it happens. And you have to work around your meals. And
well, it says 97 degrees on my phone.
Feels like what, 200?
I don't know. I'm using the built-in app, so it. I go.
Mine says 97.
Yeah, so I got to go to the thing. Oh, come on, you can
feels
do better
like 101.
Yeah, it feels like
Hades. Death. Feels like Hades.
So, but that's our dedication to you, dear listener.
Yes, we have not showered yet.
Dear Kim and Steve and Barb and everyone else who...
We would shout out your personal names if anyone else commented. Marshall sometimes comments. What up, Marshall?
And we just... Who just started... Listen, I can't remember who it was. They joined the Facebook group.
I don't know.
They liked the show. Maybe Mark from Bourbon Street.
Oh,
maybe. I don't know. I'm just throwing out names. But so we took a break last week. We didn't really take a break. We were kind of somewhat forced to.
Yeah.
We do not record our episodes really far in advance.
Well, because we want to be relevant, and I'm lazy. Let's just be honest. There's that too.
Your words, not mine. But
we want to be talking about stuff that's going on in our lives right now too.
Yeah, not just, hey, we released it today, but it happened 3 months ago, like we did with the
New
Zealand episode. But there was a reason for that. But
yeah.
So last week, tell everybody what happened last week.
Last week your grandmother passed away on Wednesday.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, my mom called and said, that my grandma had a heart attack and that she was in the ICU. And
that was Monday. We got the first call Monday.
Yeah,
you said Tuesday. First call was on Monday.
Well, I'm thinking Tuesday.
I know you are.
So she had a heart attack and was in the ICU. And then on Tuesday, double pneumonia, which I didn't know you could have more than one.
It means both lungs. Both lungs have it.
It just wasn't doing all that well, so we scrambled to book some flights for me to go up to Mena, Arkansas.
And that was... So we got the call Monday afternoon, and your mom said, don't come. Let me just get up there and see what's going on. And then Tuesday morning at 9, we got the call that she wasn't really being responsive anymore as far as responding to commands. She was still breathing on her own and that kind of thing, but she wasn't opening her eyes really anymore. She wasn't talking anymore. And that was Tuesday 9. And I think by 10:30 or 11, we had you booked on a flight for Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'd never done that before. I'd never booked a flight and flown out the same day. It's usually, you plan trips and all that stuff, but
yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a wonderful experience, but I got in at 11:30 that night to this little tiny airport in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we drove another hour and a half to, I got picked up by my brother-in-law and our friend Paul. Went back and we were at the hospital till about 1:45. She just wasn't doing good, wasn't responding to anything.
Yeah.
And then so we went to bed, got up the next day, and not a whole lot of change, but they made the decision to take her off of her breathing assistant, the oxygen.
She was just on oxygen. She had an oxygen mask, so they took her off oxygen and morphine.
And a catheter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But within, I'd say, an hour and a half to 2 hours, if that long.
It wasn't that long.
She'd passed away, and
yeah,
that was on Wednesday, so we didn't get a Thursday episode out. Plus, Arkansas barely has internet.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was terrible. You called me. No, you didn't call me. Everything we got through text, because between my reception at the hospital that I work at and the reception at a hospital in Arkansas, I don't think we could have even talked on the phone if we'd wanted to.
No, I think at the hospital it would have been fine. It was just
not my hospital though.
Oh, yeah. So with a little bit of help from the internet, not just the phone. We were able to communicate, but so yeah, after the fun experience of podcast movement and getting to see friends and family, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That was your dad was here that weekend. Before,
we came back from podcast movement on Tuesday.
They came that weekend.
Dad and Charmaine came on Saturday. We hung out with them, and then everything else started happening on Monday.
So we haven't had a whole lot of time to do podcasting, except
for the last few days. We didn't get back here until like almost midnight Saturday night. I ended up driving, so couldn't really afford for me to take for the plane ticket for me to fly up there because of the weekend. The tickets
got really
were
expensive,
astronomical. So I drove to my mom's on Thursday, and she drove up with me on Friday. So I drove the 2.5, almost 3 hours to mom's house on Thursday, and then she and I drove the 5 hours from her house to Arkansas Friday. And we got to stay in your aunt and uncle's log cabin, which I love that house. It is the most badass log cabin. It's just a really cool place. And then we had the funeral Saturday, and we picked you up, and so the three of us drove back, dropped mom off on Sunday, and you and I came back. Gosh, we got back at like 10:30, 11 Saturday night.
Yeah. This is for also the first time that I didn't book a round trip ticket.
Yeah.
A one-way ticket.
Yep.
One-way. Isn't that a Jimmy Buffett song? One-way ticket to paradise? I don't know, maybe. Anyway.
And then I had to work the next day.
Yeah. So we were both back to work Sunday. And I guess it's been all right since. I mean, I had my mastermind group calls. I guess I didn't have any coaching calls. I just had to reschedule those because the internet just is almost non-existent in that part of where we were. We were deep in the Ozark Mountains.
You could barely even watch Netflix. I mean, they have Wi-Fi. It's just, I mean, I would get texts like 2 hours after the fact.
Yeah. But since we've been back, just kind of work as usual, and we've been waiting, or not waiting, but just eager to record another podcast. We're trying to find the right moment. So that's kind of what's been going on the first 3 weeks of August. A lot of running around. I've probably been gone just almost as much as I've been here.
Yeah.
And I was only gone a couple more days extra than you for going up there, but
yeah, it's been, and Amy was out the beginning of this last week, and so I think I worked, but between Monday through Thursday, I'd already worked 40 hours. So I was just at work late, and yeah, it's just been really busy and crazy a little bit. So hopefully we'll start getting back to our normal routine.
Well, I kind of want to share an interesting story. My thing that happened with Bluehost.
Yeah.
So the company that I get all my clients on there. If I do a website for them, if I do coaching or something like that, and they haven't yet got a website or a blog, I tell them to go with Bluehost. Well, they called me up. It was just in the last few days. It wasn't quite a week ago.
I think it was Thursday. No, it was earlier in the week than that one.
I think it was this Tuesday. Well,
it was during this week, yeah.
It's just it's an interesting thing because this stuff doesn't happen when you have a corporate job. This would never happen.
Yeah.
Even when you ask for it, it rarely happens. So they called me up and they said they want to pay me more money. Yeah. I almost didn't answer the phone because I was like, why in the heck is Bluehost calling me? Like, what do they want to try to sell me now?
Yeah.
Well, I answered the phone. And I'm glad I did because they want to give me, what is 15 out of, it's basically like a 17 or 18, maybe 19% raise.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
yes, please.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to take more money from you.
I had to do a couple things, and you can see the result of what I did and why I did it and some of those other things, but we'll talk about it here. But if you go to ellorywells.com/ what is the short link? How to blog, I think, or start a blog, or something like that. It'll be my most recent post. I had to go through and do those kinds of things. I had to jump through a couple hoops to get my raise. But how often does your boss, not that they're my boss, but how often does someone come to you and say, we would like to pay you more money for doing work for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I would think that you would have to say like
ask
like
for
you
it?
would have to say to them, yeah, hey, I've been an affiliate with you for 2 years now. I have done X amount of business. It looks like I've met the requirements to get to the next affiliate level. What else do I need to do to move up? That's what I would have expected, not a phone call. Hey, you weren't met these expectations.
Well, and it's not that I had, because I've made about $1,000 through referring people to Bluehost.
A lot of that's been recent too, I think.
Yeah, 500 or 600 of it's been this year.
That's what I thought.
So
yeah.
it hasn't been just a ton of money, but I mean, who would want to get an extra $1,000 a year?
100% passively too.
I mean, I did a few things, had a few conversations, sent people some resources, those kinds of things, but yeah, it's pretty much not having to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, he called and wanted to give me $75 per referral. And the whole point of this, because we don't talk I guess sometimes we talk about my business and entrepreneurship and those kinds of things, but not all that often. But I wanted to bring this up because if you're not doing something on the side, you're missing out on some of these opportunities.
Yeah.
To where if you have a blog and you could do affiliates, like I'll make between my book on Amazon and my affiliate there, I'll make $20 to $30 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that's book, which again is not a whole lot. But then you refer one person to Bluehost and you get your $65, and that's again your hosting company. But if you did this with the dog food that you were putting in the doggy treats that you make,
yeah,
or the crafting supplies for the crafts that you make, or anything,
or the restaurant that you're referring on your travel blog or whatever.
Yeah, just all of this kind of stuff. You're missing out on it if all you're doing is going to your 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's all you're doing, but because I know that's a lot. Your schedule revolves, and somewhat your identity may follow this 9-to-5 job. What do you do? I'm a nurse. What do you do? I'm a salesperson. What do you do? I'm an IT, or those kind of things. But if you're not doing some of these extra things, I mean, they're just it's fun things. If you ever applied for a job, everybody's applied for a job. Or if you've ever asked for a raise and been told no
all the time.
I mean, how demeaning
I'm just kidding.
is that?
I've never asked for a raise. Uh-huh.
I've asked for raises.
You have, yeah.
Actually, I have asked for a raise. I got a 25-cent raise when I was 17 working at Sonic. But I don't know if I ever asked for one at Dell or not. I know I got them, but I know the rest of my team didn't. But it was only like 3 or 4%. But how demeaning is it to ask for something and say, or make a case for yourself? Because I always did.
Yeah, you did. You put
like
a lot of work
4 or
into
5
those.
pages worth of this is what I've done, this is who I've helped, this is what I've attained, and the answer is still no.
Right.
And then out of the blue, like, we want to pay you more money. You got to do a couple things, but as an incentive, it's paid for performance.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's kind of rare, but
yeah.
So let's talk about my book. Tell people about what I guess what you know is not a whole.
I know very little.
I know, but tease it. Tell people about.
So E-Town is feverishly. I'm gonna move this lighter fluid because I am tired of hitting it.
Cobham will blow us up with this rusty can of lighter fluid for the grill we haven't used in a year and a half.
Now would be a perfect time to grill because you're already sweaty.
Oh hell no! It's too hot.
Yeah. Anyway, so you have been writing feverishly, in this book.
Almost since the moment we got back from podcast.
I would say, yeah, yeah. Like,
did I start it before?
No, I think you started it the night we got back, though. I mean,
okay.
You were, yeah. So pretty much all I know is that it is. Can I tell the title?
Uh-huh.
The title is Exit Strategy. Tagline yet to be determined.
I liked it. I've gotten good feedback for how to transition from where you have to be to where you want to be. What do you think about that?
I still think it needs tweaking.
Okay. Well, that's what it is right now, tentatively.
So basically how to go from your 9-to-5 job to working for yourself, and how to develop a strategy that you can put in place to where you're not put in a position like you were, where you had started, but you didn't really have an exit plan when you got fired. And we just kind of had to wing it and go from where we were.
So why do you think my book would be different than any other book that talks about making that change? Like Kary Oberbrunner, Day Job to Dream Job, for example. Knowing what you know about me and what I've been talking about, maybe you've overheard some conversations with people, what would make my book different?
Maybe because you're writing it from a place that's more relatable. I think when like Kary, I don't read any of those books, but most likely those people, when they write those books, are millionaires already or well on their way, and I don't think they're quite as relatable.
Well, and maybe this is a word to incorporate into the title, but the tactics too. We talk about a lot of these are very goal-oriented books. So, they're like,
okay,
set your mind, follow your passion, blah blah blah, which is great. But if
you're
they're
gonna have
all
step-by-step stuff in there,
that, I mean, how do you build a reputation online? How do you do these kinds of things? Well, these are the tactics. So there's strategy and tactics. Always bugged me that people would use those terms in corporate America, and I never really understood the difference. But the difference is the strategy is the overall plan. Like, we're going to go in and we're going to invade this country, or we're going to go in and we're going to figure out how to transition from this to that, or do this. But the tactics are the actual, like, boots on the ground kinds of things.
Well, and I like how you usually use the analogy. Well, I don't know if it's really an analogy, but part of your website and your brand is empowering and equipping leaders. So
entrepreneurs. That's the tagline of someone who stole my other tagline.
Don't be bitter.
Right.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Something like that. When they acknowledge that they copied you,
all right, honey.
Anyway,
drinking some bitter sauce. Anyway, you talk about empowering and equipping, and so I guess I have not read one word of your book, so I don't know anything about it, but I guess what I'm hearing you say is that you're going to be equipping people, not just empowering them, which is...
Yeah, I like that. That fits.
Which is what a lot of those self-development books are, is the empowerment part and getting you motivated and whatever. So you're going to actually have some equipping, sounds like.
Well, a lot of the people that I work with, and I think my ideal clients are the ones who have a day job. I mean, it's expensive to hire me, but there's a lot of expertise behind it, and nobody's complained about the price yet. But what it helps when you have a day job to fund your side projects until they ramp up to the point where
you're making enough
you can
profit.
Make that transition. I'm just thinking, like, if I didn't have the time. I mean, a lot of it's the time aspect, but I didn't know then what I know now, and that's probably universally true for most people.
Yeah.
But if had I known what to do, how to do it, and possibly even how long it would take, what would I do different? Well, this book is what I would do. What I would do different, and where I've seen success for myself and for other people.
What you ended up doing after the fact that you would have done prior had you known it was coming.
Right. So begin back to it helps if you have the corporate job thing, or any job, to fund all this stuff, is I know you're busy.
Yeah.
So I am trying my best to put into, I'm shooting for about 200 pages. It's no skimpy ebook that you're going to download for free. This is going to be something that's, I'm going for a traditional publisher, something that, not even that you will print, but you can go and pick up off of a shelf, or I can hand you.
How cool would that be?
That'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, super badass.
I'm going for this thing that the busy professional can go in, and that's who I'm writing it to. Someone who can go in, read the book, and start making changes in the margins. Go in and they've got a few extra minutes or 20 minutes, or realize that you can't build it in 20 minutes, and I'm going to take a long weekend and I'm going to shut myself in a cabin like Renee does up in Chicago and get work done.
You know what's funny is that I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I remember going to NMX and maybe even to some extent podcast movement last year, and people always talk about like success. People talk about overnight success and how that's not really a thing, and how it's like an iceberg. There's all this stuff underneath the peak and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking about that. You know, it's so true. Like, I mean, you've been working at this for 3 years now. Is that right?
In January, at the end of January, it will be 4.
It was January 2012 when you started.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3.5 years. And this year, you've really started seeing some success. So, I mean, it was 1.5 years of side hustle and a full year pretty much of that's all you did to really start feeling some of that fruits of your labor.
Yeah, I see so many people. There's this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not stereotype, but
cliche.
Yeah, cliche. It's exactly what I was looking for. The cliche that people stop right before they see success.
It's so true.
But it's not even that. I mean, it is that. It is 100% that. But what I also see is people are disappointed with the results that they're getting after 6 months and they quit. Or they don't get the results that they want. Or maybe they're not even getting any.
Yeah.
They're like, well, this is dumb. I'm not doing it. It doesn't work. But that's crap. If you're going to start, there's a difference between being online and having a store.
Right.
If I had a store, and I've thought several times that it would be easier if I did, but
different type of hard.
Right. Then you've got real estate and rent and light bills and all those overhead things. So it wouldn't necessarily be easier, but it would be easier if people can walk in, they can open the front door, come in, and see, touch, smell, feel the product.
Well, that's what the conferences are for. You are the product.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably very true as well.
I mean, and that's why I think videos are so good too, is because they can actually see that you're a real person behind all the words.
Well, if you did have a physical store, you wouldn't shut that down in 6 months.
Right. Well, some people might.
You might run out of room, declare or run out of
funds,
money, and have to declare bankruptcy and all that stuff, and that wouldn't necessarily be good. But you would be worried about I've got to get the location, I've got to get people foot traffic coming in the front door, which I talk a little bit about that in my book. But it takes time to just let people know that you are there.
Right. Yeah.
And it takes more than 6 months to do that unless you pay traffic to pay Facebook, Google, Bing, Twitter, LinkedIn. You pay all these other places to drive traffic back to your site.
Do you remember? I don't remember if it was the day before you got fired or that weekend. And I do the budget for us. Like, I pay the bills and do all that. And I remember saying to you, I was like, you've got till April. This was in, what did you, February?
When I got fired?
Yeah.
January 17th at 9:02 a.m.
Okay,
I was in my car by 9:12.
So probably, January 20th, 18th, I think I said to you, I was like, you've got till the end of April. That's how much money we have. And if you don't have something, if you're not starting to see profits, then you're going to have to go get another job.
You told me this?
Yeah.
We talked about that?
We did. And I was like, I just don't see how we're going to make it without, that's like the end of our savings and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, this is just not going to happen.
And for reference, we're 1.5 years after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God's just totally provided for us. I think we found out at the end of April that the girl that was working full-time at my hospital was leaving. And so my 2 days a week job turned into 5. And I mean, God has just, every time, we thought well, I don't know how much longer where this is going to last. He's provided for us. And it's just, I'm just thankful that we were able to stick it out. Make some sacrifices. And
well, it's funny that you had mentioned that, because in the last few weeks I've talked to coaching clients in current masterminds about not the exact conversation, but the discussion we had of, do I start applying seriously for jobs, which is by seriously I mean like more than what the state requires to get unemployment, which I never got, by the way.
Like following up with those applications,
like actually being serious about it,
right?
Like, anyway,
yeah.
And that was the decision. Do I do that? Do I brush off the resume, dust it off, and start networking and going to basically brown nosing and sucking up to people so I can get a job? Which sounds really bad, but I'll tell you.
That's how you felt about it.
Yeah, because I didn't want to do that. I wanted to build my brand.
Right.
But back to tying in the physical store location, people would go in and see and touch it, but you would also have reputable brands on your shelves. Like when you go to Best Buy, yeah, we like Best Buy, but we go and we buy Sony TVs or Samsung phones, or, we buy reputable brands. Well, when you're creating it your own, you do not have a reputable brand. Nobody knows who the hell you are.
Yeah. You have to build it.
And the ones who do know aren't going to pay you for it.
Right. Because it's your family and your friends.
Although I've had a lot of friends who have paid me for things, which
have now,
which is ridiculous. That's humbling too.
Yeah.
But that 6-month thing, I mean, you have to get people to know who you
or
are.
Longer. It may take long. I mean, you had been already doing the blog for a year and a half, year and a half, 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. The podcast for a couple of months. And now, granted, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I felt like you were working all the freaking time on your business.
Back then?
Back then, when you were still working at Dell.
I was, and that's a point to point out, too.
Well, and this is what I'm saying, is at the time, I felt like you were working because you would get up early to work on your business. And then you would
3 hours before I had to be at work.
And then you were going to work till 6. You'd come home and eat, and then you would work until 10 o'clock. So I felt
not midnight.
Yeah, I mean, and weekends, like you were working a lot on your business, and then you left Dell. Then you really started working a lot, and it still took a year of really, and you still work a lot on your business. I mean,
people want this instant success. We've probably talked about that, this light switch, but it's like if you're working at 2 full-time jobs, that's what it needs to be.
It is, yeah.
If it would be similar to if you were going back to school to get your master's degree, which, by the way, did you see that video that Gary Vee posted? I shared it, and he was like, screw education is the biggest racket in our country right now. And I kind of agree. And we've talked about it.
It can be, yeah.
Anyway, if you were going to get your master's degree or a PhD, you would be spending a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
But you would also be, to justify the expense, you would be working on it nights, weekends, every spare moment. But people do not apply. The ones that work with me are closer than the ones who don't. But people do not apply that same intensity to building their own business.
Absolutely.
Because it's so untraditional. It's so different and unique. But if we thought about it in the same terms of, hey, I'm going to go get a degree after this, they would be spending nights. My mom would tell you she got her PhD at Sonic because she would always go and get a Diet Cherry Limeade, sit in her car and work for hours and hours and hours.
Because she didn't have kids sitting around her like she would if she'd gone home.
Right. She removed those distractions, and that's part of it too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of a random tangent, I guess. But the book is part of that, so that you can use that time wisely. Because I don't want anybody to go back to a job that they hate or work for somebody that doesn't like them. And it's not that. It's not just that. It's like I talked to a guy. So James, He told me the same thing. And then, who else was it? It was, I won't mention his name just yet. But it's a guy that came to La Madeleine on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
And he said the same thing that James told me, is that they don't hate their job.
Right.
But over the last 18 months, the company, in this guy's case, they went from paying for all of his benefits to half.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a family of 5.
Holy moly.
So he's paying over $1,000 a month for health insurance and those kinds of things.
Louise.
So he doesn't hate his job. He doesn't like it. But James
has
likes
always
his
liked,
job.
yeah, that's I've heard him say he likes his job.
In both of those situations, the company has made tiny changes that over time, they're like, well, we're going to cut back on what we pay for your benefits.
Or you're not going to get any more vacation. Or
yeah. We're not going to give you the standard of living raise or any of those things. So it's not a hate thing, but this just isn't what it used to be what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think some people are just ready for a change. You were unhappy.
Terribly unhappy.
But you didn't start out unhappy.
I didn't.
The first 2 years you were there, it was pretty good.
Well, I did share this chapter with the Facebook people that are following me on Facebook. How John Maxwell ruined my career. Did you see that post?
Yeah.
But that was really when I'd started to be unhappy, and then I read that, and that's really when the wedge grew a ton.
Well, and at the same time that you read that book, there was a lot of changes in upper management at Dell that trickled down and made a lot of changes similar to what you're talking about, like the perks that made the shitty parts bearable. Like the parties that the spouses got to go to where there was thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of prizes. Those ended.
Here's a specific example. So the part 1 of my book is about my story. It's about those perks. It's about those fun things because for a long time, Dell was insulated from the crash in the market. Here in the United States, things went to crap in 2007 and 2008. I didn't even start working there until October of 2009.
Right.
That Christmas party was a $75,000 Christmas party.
Yeah, it was
awesome. There were hundreds of people there. The spouses were all invited. Almost every employee went away with a gift. I got that laptop that I gave Kelsey. Mm-hmm. There were $5,000 trip vouchers.
Yeah.
So out of that $75,000, $40,000 was prizes.
Right.
Laptops, Xboxes, PlayStations,
TVs,
trips, TVs, massage things, all this stuff. It was
insane, yeah.
So by the time the Christmas party,
2009.
Well, it was a Christmas party then. In 2013, it was a holiday party. I got a $50 gift card for getting sales rep of the quarter.
Yeah, and I didn't get to go.
And spouses weren't invited. So there's a big drastic change between the first party that I went to as a brand new employee, hadn't really earned my stripes at all, and then the last one where I was. This sounds arrogant, but I was literally, for my time there, I was the most awarded sales rep on our floor.
Yeah. Of
140 sales reps.
Right, yeah.
And it was a $50 gift card. So just no hypotheticals. That's some actual examples.
I just want people to be encouraged that it may feel like you've been doing this for forever, and it may feel like you never are going to find success, but if you keep doing it and you are doing the right things, don't quit right before you start succeeding.
And that
we almost did. We almost did.
That thought, I've done so much, I have not seen the results that I'm wanted, but what if I am just a month away from getting a client, selling something, or making money that would prove that it was worth it.
Well, and you and I had, I don't remember when this was. I guess sometime last year. I remember you and I had a conversation, and I asked you, I was like, are you okay? You just don't seem as happy doing what you're doing. And you said, I'm just not seeing results, and I'm just starting to second guess what I'm...
I said that?
Yes.
Wow.
I think I just caught you on a day, and you're just like, I just don't... I feel like I'm working so hard and I'm just not, I just don't know. You said I'm not happy right now. But that lasted like 2 days.
Well, again, I'll keep using maybe the school example, because in a lot of ways, I think this is like you have to approach it with the same discipline and tenacity as if you were going for an advanced degree.
Yeah.
Except at the end, you don't have $200,000 of debt.
Right.
You may not have any money, but you don't have
you may be even.
all of this debt. Because when you graduate from school, you start all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, I was making good money at Dell, but I was never once asked. It was on my resume, but nobody asked me if I ever graduated. Nobody asked me what my degree was in. Nobody asked me what my GPA was.
Yep.
And we have to, if you want to do this, and it doesn't have to be online business. It could be making cards. It could be making recipes and selling recipes, or doing marketing for a company, but for yourself.
Yeah.
And they contract you. By the way, those are all client experiences that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to approach it with the same thing. And those bad days are like getting a C on a test instead of an A or a B. We always have these setbacks. And it's still, right now, it's still a lot of work, but it would be a lot of work working for somebody else. It would be a lot of work writing a dissertation or prepping for, the fall semester.
Mm-hmm.
All those kinds of things. I just think the degree and the college example just may have a little bit more relevance to people who have not thought about what it is that I do, or what we're doing or trying to build.
Yeah.
To do anything, you have to put in the work. Just like when I was talking to Corey, and I've mentioned Corey several times. He's a local chiropractor, and he partnered with somebody at a physical place. Well, I mean, you can't really do digital, e-chiropractors or whatever.
Right.
Although that feels like it would be a good domain name, but I don't know why. Anyway, but he picked up and moved his wife, and they just had a baby. They moved from like somewhere, I don't know, nowhere Midwest, I don't know,
Texas?
Idaho or some. He told me at one point.
Some state that
if
doesn't
it's
matter.
not Texas, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Everyone else.
But he had to go to the rent. He got to rent out a place for his stuff. He's got to buy equipment. And he told me, and I don't know, it should be something he'd be proud of, but hopefully I'm not sharing too much information, but he told me that this or last month was his first profitable month. Wow. So he's been at this with he's a doctor, doctor of chiro whatevers. He's got a location. He's got all the equipment, and he's invested a lot of money. Went to a school, and still, and I mean they're doing fine.
Yeah.
But this was his first profitable month, and he has all of this.
I still think you need to somehow barter with him. See if he can give us some.
You just want free adjustments.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not completely off the table. But as a side note to that, when you own your business, you can do cool stuff like that.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you can't really do that if you don't have something of value to trade or barter for. But anyway, you got to put in the work. You have to develop a strategy. You have to build out a plan. And it really, really helps if you have someone keeping you accountable and encouraging you, but also that you can follow, or who is giving guidance. Try this. You can try that, but I did and it didn't work. Or fill in the blank.
Can we change the subject?
Sure. Let's change it.
Football season's coming, and I'm so excited.
We're going to a game.
Yes.
At the new Baylor Stadium.
Yes. And we are going to be sitting on the visitor's side, which will be interesting. But we're going to be there, and we didn't have to pay for the tickets. So we are super, super stoked. That's in like three weeks. First Baylor game's next Saturday. No, 2 weeks. First Baylor game's in 2 weeks. and then we're going to the second Baylor game.
That'll be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Ashley has been waiting to go see the Baylor Stadium since they broke ground.
Absolutely. I am freaking excited. So excited. We'll have to post some pictures.
You know, I don't know if I told you this or not, but when I was flying up to Arkansas last week, you and I had a couple conversations about looking forward to football.
Yeah.
But whenever I was waiting for my flight from DFW to Little Rock, there was a guy with a Baylor shirt on, and then like everybody around us on the plane was talking about football. It was just like all of a sudden this light switch flipped, and that was all people could talk about. It was just weird because
because tickets started going on sale, preseason NFL football starting.
Bleh.
I'm probably gonna turn on the Cowboy game tonight because I know you're gonna be probably working.
No, tonight I've got a blog post ready. I think I may
So I'm not gonna be watching the Cowboy game.
Might be playing some video games.
Okay. I
can do that.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. I feel like this year has just like I've blinked and it's gone.
I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since I left Dell.
Yeah. Well, 2 years ago we were going to Costa Rica.
Was that 2 years ago?
That's what I was saying.
Or was 1 year ago?
It was 2 years ago. Last year we went on the cruise in September.
Cruise.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 years ago we went because we were on the zip line for your 30th birthday.
By the way, when school goes back, if you are not caught up in that craziness, that's a great time to travel.
It is.
Because nobody else is traveling.
When we went to Costa Rica, I think we went the first week school had started, at least here in Texas. Everyone else had already started, I think. And the plane, like we got to move to the exit row on the plane. The plane was only like half full. The resort we stayed at was like there wasn't a ton of people. It was phenomenal. And things are cheaper.
Get some sweet deals.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's not when we went to the Bahamas a few years ago. It was December, right?
That was December, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I just love this time of year. It is my favorite, like, I guess from your birthday until January. It's just, I just love this time of year.
I will tell you, I am ready for it not to be so freaking hot.
And it's been a mild summer.
I
mean,
I think it's been shorter.
I mean,
because we had so much rain
we did
in spring.
So June, I don't think we hit over 100 until July. And usually we're in 100 degrees all of June, July, and all of August. And so this year it's just been July and August.
September, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know because that's of course football season, and I just remember in college going and just being miserable.
Yeah, miserable. Yeah, I just love this time of year. Now time can really slow down. As I love this. I love the fall and the winter. I just love it.
So for the occasionally explicit listener, Timaru, New Zealand updates?
0. I've emailed and gotten no responses. So I told you earlier, I have a feeling it's not going to work out. You're telling me I shouldn't feel that way. I don't know.
But
just have a feeling.
That's true, but at the same time, you when they send an email about, I think this was pre even the interview, you're like, yeah, this is bad. They're just, I don't like the words that they're using.
You're right.
And this was right before they said, hey, we want to get on a video call with you. So
you're right, but I don't know. It's not anything specific. I just have a feeling. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to email him again today, and hopefully he'll email me back.
Well, other than the Baylor game, what are you looking forward to over the next couple weeks?
Well, your birthday is next Saturday. It's 6 days, the 29th.
3 days, because this isn't going live today.
I'm
2
about
days.
to say the 29th is his birthday, so everybody wish him.
Shh, don't tell.
He'll be 30 for the third time.
Yes, for the third time.
So 32. So I'm excited for your birthday.
You know what I'm kind of excited about?
What?
Well, it's already out, but Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And then the Flicks Oktoberfest, they're
telling you this time of year, it's like the beers are better, the wine is better.
I don't know about the wines being better.
Yeah, because they come out with like all the serendipity and like our reds that are Aging comes out in the fall.
Well, Flicks, their Oktoberfest, which is delicious. They're tapping the keg September 15th.
Star Wars is coming out in November.
Oh, and video games.
Yep.
We've got Fallout. Why can't I think of anything but Fallout?
I don't
E3
know.
this year was exciting because they were talking about cool stuff. I think there's some Tom Clancy games coming out. Fallout's going to just be amazing. I don't know off the top of my head, but
I just love this time of year. I can't help it. I just do. I am a little sad we're not going on a vacation this year. Because August, September is usually our vacation time. And I'm a little sad we're not doing that this year. But if New Zealand does work out, I guess we'll have a year-long vacation. So I'll get over it.
yeah, that we're putting a lot of plans kind of on hold for that. Preparing for the expense of moving. You know, some of the things that I've wanted to buy I haven't bought, or the things that I do buy are mobile enough to where we can take them.
Yeah.
Like, not that we were in the market for one, but buying a new TV would not be on the radar because we're not going to pack it and ship it.
Right.
But, you know, a new digital camera or a drone, gotta mention the drone for your mom. She'll just give me a hard time about that. But those things are, although we haven't bought a whole lot of them. But I have been wondering how we're going to get our existing wine and cigars over there. Cigars, you got to.
You ship it.
I guess. Got to box up my wonderful humidor.
Yeah.
But.
Or you just, I mean, if we do end up going, we'll have a couple of months notice. So you just won't buy any. And then you just buy them online once we get over there and have them shipped over there.
I would probably get access to some decent priced Cubans.
Yeah, and
unless the embargo over here goes away and they'd be decent priced here too.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I bet they'd be really freaking expensive, like stupid expensive for about 90 days. And then people would realize
they're just another cigar.
Yeah, well, that too. But then they would realize, oh, we can get these anytime.
Yeah.
You know, the
novelty would wear off.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, there are people walking the golf course. Oh, and that man is walking, making that kid. That kid's probably 10, 12 years old with his own bag, walking and can't even keep up with his dad walking this. And they're on hole one.
Well, if you're going to play like in school,
yeah, you gotta
walk. So he might be prepping his son. It's that, or I mean, which would be worse? That or playing soccer for 90 minutes in this?
Soccer for sure.
So that's what I did in the summer. Actually, we played a lot of indoor in the summer, but we were prepping for practice outside. But yeah, it's hot. Whenever I saw,
stupid hot.
So as people who are listening, if you haven't heard of Periscope, it's pretty cool tech. Kim Trumbo, my friend up in
Salem, Oregon.
I almost said Washington, but again, it's not Texas, so
it's close.
Wah, wah. She did a Periscope. It's a live video broadcast of Crater Lake. Do you remember me showing you that?
Gorgeous, yeah.
I mean, that was awesome.
That's a lake that Shay needs to do her podcast about.
Yeah. Yep. Most of Shay's stuff is in Kansas, Nebraska.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're basically the same state.
Oh my goodness.
It's like that video last night that we watched on Jimmy Fallon. We're behind on Jimmy Fallon. They had a video of President Obama. Of course, it was edited, but it was Obama visiting South Dakota, and the video is him walking down the steps of Air Force One, shaking somebody's hand, and then they cut to a video of him walking back up the stairs. He's like, boots on the ground, that worked. It's like, that's how I feel about some of these states, although I'd love to go to some of them, but
yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yay, football season. Go Baylor, sick 'em.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you found it at one hand encouraging, but on the other hand, maybe it's the fire that you needed to get started, to do something today that will help you tomorrow. And we talked a lot about the process and the years that it has taken to get to where I am now. And I am not across the finish line. I am not, some celebrity A-lister, big time, not making $10,000 a month, all those things. But even to get to where I am, where I have a business that will sustain itself and is seeing growth and acquiring new clients and making a difference in people's lives, it has taken time. And I want to share a little bit of math with you, and I may get some of the details wrong, so if you have a calculator out there, just forgive me and go with it. So if you read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, or you are familiar with the 10,000 hour concept, this is what we're going to talk about. So even if you're not, the 10,000 hours says to become an expert, to become a master, one of these outliers that's so good it just kind of stands out from the crowd, you have to have 10,000 hours worth of practice. And he talks about Bill Gates and his ability to code, and he talks about people who are, at this like Vienna Orchestra or whatever, just these people who are at the absolute top of their game. And it takes 10,000 hours worth of practice for you to truly master your craft. So to get this 10,000 hours, if you spent 25 days out of the month, that gives you your weekends totally free. If you spend 25 days out of the month times 12 months, and you spent 5 hours every one of those days, it would take you 6.6 years to reach those 10,000 hours. So we talked a lot about people quitting at the 6-month mark, and I thought about it. I thought about it at the 12-month mark, at the 18 and 24 and 36-month mark. I've thought about it. I've been there, okay? But if you want to be a master and get paid like a master and make the difference in the lives of other people like a master, 10,000 hours, it's 5 hours a day, 25 days out of the month, every month of the year for over 6.5 years to get there. If you quit after 6 months, if you quit after a year or 2 years, you'll never get to that master level. You can't go from your corporate job. I see a lot of people like, I make 6 figures and I'm happy and I got all this stuff, and they think they're going to just immediately apply that to their business. That's not going to happen. It's like when Michael Jordan decided to play baseball. He was a master at basketball. Nobody can argue that. But when he started to play for, I think it was the White Sox, he was terrible. He wasn't, maybe not terrible, but he wasn't good. But we seem to think that we can apply our expertise at our day job and immediately turn it into respect and reputation and an established brand when it's on our own. But here's the cool thing. If you take that 5 hours a day and you applied it to maybe 6 hours, think about what that could do to your 10,000 hours, 6.6 years. If you made that 6 hours instead of 5 hours, that shaves your time down to just 5.5 years. And if you added 7, I'm not going to keep doing the math for you, but you can see just if you start filling in that time when you are standing in the lunch line or waiting in line at Starbucks, and you could get that audiobook listened to, or you can dictate a blog post, whatever it is, if you can start finding time in the margins, you can shave that from 25 days of the month, 5 days every day, or 5 hours every day for 6.666 years. Add another hour to that, and it shaves it down by over a year. If you add another hour to that, I'm sure it would go down to 4 years. If you hustle, you can make this happen. And a lot of buzz right now is about this 5-minute video that Gary Vaynerchuk did about hustle and patience. And he's talking about that exact same thing. And if you notice the timestamp on those videos, by the way, he's talking to his team. And they're at the office, but he's working at 8:30, and then he cuts to a clip where it's like 10:45 at night. I'm just telling you, you can do this. You absolutely can do this. I'm talking to you, Mike and James and Ken and Kevin and Jim, all these people that I've talked to, and Amy and Shay. I'm just thinking of so many names of people who want to do this, and you can. I absolutely have 100% confidence that you can. But you have to be able to sacrifice something else to get there. And for me, it was sometimes time with Ashley. It was giving up a lot of TV. It was giving up reading fiction. It was giving up my nights and weekends and sleep in the mornings to get there. We have to give something up to achieve our dreams. And that's what I want to leave you with. I won't say any more, but I encourage you to figure out what you can cut out so that you can add time to focus on yourself. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Ellory Wells. Head over to empoweredpodcast.com/97 to see all of the show notes for this episode and connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those kinds of things. And if you liked this episode, we just share it with somebody. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.